Super progressive. What is good, everybody? And today we have one of the most special interviews I've ever done because it's not only with someone I really look up to musically, but it's also with a personal friend to mine who has been so just clutch for me as I explore specifically the UK scene. I've been traveling over there a bunch, and he's always welcomed me. Him and Will and their awesome friend group. Um, we met for the first time a year ago, and then we just had a great trip a few weeks ago. And yeah, our guest, his name is Lloyd Barwood, and he this is a really exciting week for him because not only his first release, but his first two releases are coming out this Friday, and I plan to have this release on Friday. So coming out today, bro. Congratulations. Um, how are you doing, man? What's good?
Yeah, good. Really chuffed to be on here with you, speaking to my mate Will from across the pond. Obviously, we've
Yeah.
we got to meet, didn't we, last year? So having a mutual interest in this progressive scene that we love, whether that's the history of it or what it is now. So yeah, excited to be here. Obviously, it's a big week for me, but definitely by far the biggest week I've had in terms of my musical journey so far. So yeah, I'm blessed to be spending it talking to you.
Yeah, and I sent you over this like list of questions, but I kind of want to like get right to the point here, because we'll get into all the background and stuff, but I just something I'm really curious in and why I'm so excited to talk to you today. Um, you have your first release coming out. Can you kind of bring us through a timeline for all aspiring producers out there? A timeline of how all this works together. Like how long ago did the first idea for the track come in? And then just bring us on a timeline of like the stages of getting something recorded to something actually released.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it'd be best to start off. So it was actually last June, so only about 10 months ago when I started learning how to produce. So been doing kind of music from a young age, played a few different instruments, grew up listening to disco and funk with my dad, which was cool. But I think that it took me probably a good 4 or 5 months to really get to a level where I could actually get down on the paper what I wanted to actually produce from a creative standpoint. And I say that the end-to-end process is actually has been quite lengthy because it's not only about making the record and trying to find a suitable label for it. It's actually trying to find labels who are actually interested in you as an artist. So I think the overall probably journey, I'd say end to end from making the record to getting it released would be about, I think it's about 5 months actually. I started making it around Christmas time. So um yeah, it's been definitely been a journey. I think it's like I say, it's finding the right labels to take it, especially when I'm still up and coming artist trying to break through.
And what are the names of the two tracks that are coming out?
So I've got a 2 track EP coming out, which is both my original records, which there's one called Dream Machine and another one called Chiaroscuro, which means light and dark. So it's the darkness to the light of Dream Machine, which is quite cool. And it's actually coming out on Capital Heaven, which is Frameworks label. So if you're into your progressive breaks, then you will probably know Framework because they are the king of breaks. They've done remixes for people like Bedrock, and yeah, they're pretty awesome. So I'm very stoked to be releasing on their label.
Dude, that is just so unbelievable. The night before we met in London, I saw Hernan in Liverpool littered with framework remixes, bro. So freaking cool.
Yes, they're the king of remixes. They've done some awesome stuff, whether that's taking some old classics or doing new remixes for other artists. They're as good as it gets really when it comes to the progressive scene that we love and progressive breaks.
And so I have like two kind of questions, but before going back to your decision to actually start producing, which is so interesting in itself, um, I'm sure as you start out making music, you're making all different sorts of projects, all different sorts of tracks, some left unfinished, some just to be an idea for another track down the line. For the first track, how did you know that like this was actually going to be you're going to see this one through to a release, or this has what it takes to be like a solid release as opposed to just another track that you're working through to learn all of the tech, all of the technique, everything involved?
Yeah, it's a great question because when I started learning, there's so many different skills and techniques that you have to learn when it comes to producing, especially using kind of the digital audio workstation, which is what you use to produce the music. And I kind of spent a lot of time playing around making lots of different genres of music, not just kind of the melodic and progressive stuff I love, but even going back and making some like tech house, which is what I used to listen to when I was younger, or generic house, and playing around with breakbeat, just to really try and understand how to use it. And it wasn't until kind of I got to a point where I could really put my, I guess, take my creativity and my musical theory and knowledge to actually apply that properly and create a record, where it was actually this record which I made called Dream Machine, which was the first one out of the two I made. And I remember being on Christmas, kind of sitting around and just playing around with ideas, just putting on like loads of different, like using different sound design and playing around with kind of different melodies, different hooks. And I felt like I knew it was good because I had it as like an 8-bar loop and I just had it on repeat. And I wasn't getting bored of it. I still was really enjoying it, even if listening for minutes and minutes. I was like, "This is good. I like this. I like this." So I was like, "I need to commit myself and finish this properly and do it as well as I can." And yeah, that's kind of how I knew. I guess I could, whenever I make a record, if I can listen to it over and over without getting bored, I know that that's probably a good record, and I should commit the time to get it finished.
No, it's awesome to hear that. And it like leads into my next question, bro. Dude, we're both 28 years old, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you were 28 or 27 when you decided to start production. In in this world, we like know people who have been doing this since they were teenagers. A lot of our favorite artists are like freaking prodigies in the studio and stuff.
Yeah.
I think anybody who loves this music wants to make a contribution in some way. Some people, like for me, example, I like made like a media page, it's like, but you pretty like, I wouldn't, we're not old, but we're old in the span of picking up a new thing and taking it all the way.
Yeah.
Like, what, what like motivated you to say, no, it's not too late for me to like make what I see as like the ultimate contribution, which is literally making the music.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I remember because I guess when I got into this scene and this music, kind of I think about 10 years ago now. Since then I've just spent so much time of my free time listening to music and researching about the scene and trying to understand where it came from and where it is now, and kind of the journey, the different like the progressive scenes moving on. And I remember thinking to myself, this is actually how I got into DJing initially, because I remember thinking, I'm spending so much time listening to this music. I should probably learn a skill whilst I do it, rather than spending all my evenings digging for tracks, which I was never going to put into a DJ set anyway, because I didn't DJ. And I was always there trying to hunt down the records which I could show my mates that none of them would have heard, and I'd look at their face and I'd see that reaction like, wow, this is a good record. So that's actually how I started DJing. And then I kind of always thought about kind of having to go at producing. Like I say, I grew up playing kind of 3 or 4 different instruments, and I felt like I could give it a go. And obviously, I know the music well because I've been listening to it for so long. And it's actually kind of, I remember it's about a year, about 14 months ago. I had someone who kind of believed in me that I could do it, and I remember thinking, do you know what? Why don't I just give it a go? I've got nothing to lose. I've got a job. I'm working a full-time job anyway. It's not like I need the income. Why don't I just have a go, and I'll enjoy the journey and see where it goes. And I remember kind of starting to learn how to produce, and I had a great guy kind of show me the reins of how to do it. And yeah, I guess that's where it all escalated from.
No, it's so awesome. And it's just like, it makes you realize, like, I don't know, for me, hearing that, it's like, yeah, 6 months, a year is a quick time, but not if you're putting in 5 or 6 hours a day into it. Like, you are racking up hours, racking up experience. And, as we get older, it's cool to find something fresh and new to just fully freaking dive into, bro. Like that,
Definitely,
I don't know, it's
definitely.
so awesome.
I remember because I think for me, I was thinking when I started learning how to produce, obviously I didn't have the skills initially, but I was listening to all these old like progressive house vinyls, which I've got from like back in the day, from like back in the 90s. And thinking, oh, I'd love to do like a new edit of one of these records with my own kind of own spin on it. And I remember like that's actually kind of one of the things I was excited to get stuck into. And I feel like going back and trying to listen to this music that we love and we've spent so many years listening to, there's so many great ideas you can take inspiration from to then put into your own music, which is, I guess, kind of the approach I like to take anyway on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so let's talk about like your roots specifically in the progressive sound because um someone who also loves the history of this music, it's like you you learn something about this music by one listening to the music and then also then learning about its history and doing the research and learning about the artists and labels and everything that happened beforehand. How how has your passion for the history of this music fed into um maybe either your style or the way you look at things as a producer?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the progressive scene has progressed so much since what it was kind of like back in the 90s when it started kind of really being a big thing with people like Sasha and Digweed. And I think there's so much inspiration you can take from the old records and the history of it, but then you have to modernize it. If you even look at these big progressive artists from back in the day, if you look at them now, their sound is so different to what they used to be, and they've modernized it, but they're still at their roots. It's all about building that journey, and I think that's what it comes down to. I think that's what, for me, what really differentiates kind of this progressive scene to the other music like tech house or like the classic house and techno is really about building that journey and taking people with you on that ride. So when I'm making music, I try to think about where would this song slot into my set to help build that bigger picture. So whether that's like, is it going to be an intro record? Is it kind of a building record? You've started to warm the crowd up and we now want to get into the next gear, or is it a peak time record? This is where, or is it like an end of the night record? Is it when everyone wants to have their hands in the air and you're and I think that's where I guess that's a real big inspiration for me. I don't When I think about my music, I'm not just trying to make bangers all the time. I'm trying to build a record which will fit into my set.
Bro, and how cool is it now to be like we were talking beforehand, you have like some DJ gigs coming out. Can you talk like I don't know, quick question, but how sick is it to start you hear the DJs say, I want to make music that fits in my sets in the club, and now you get to bridge these two things together. Like your first invited gig,
Yeah,
you're coming out with your own tracks and you get to fit them into your set. Like that's what it's all about, bro.
it's epic, honestly. I don't think there's a better feeling than being behind those decks and you go to load up the next record and you see your own name on it and you're like, geez, here we go. And obviously, because normally you're making music in your bedroom or in your spare bedroom, or that's what I make mine. I don't have a studio. I'm kind of making it in my spare bedroom. And you're always trying to think when you make this record, how's it going to sound in the club? And it isn't until you step up to those decks and you select that next track and it's got your ID on it and you just cannot wait to see how it sounds and the reaction you get from that crowd. And when it's a good reaction, I don't think there's any better feeling in the world.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, I'm so freaking stoked for you, bro. Um, yeah, man, like there's so much stuff to be excited about.
Yeah.
There's let's talk a little bit about like how we met because in the shuffle of all this, to me, the roots of this are kind of like what you've been doing with your pick and mix series.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because one of my missions with Super Progressive has always been to bring together different generations of clubbers who like the same music. And I feel like that mission is like totally aligned with why you went out and started Pick and Mix. I think a lot of people would like to know the story of Pick and Mix because um, I think a lot of people can see themselves in your shoes and see how you've taken this thing and brought it all the way now to having like a record released.
Yeah, definitely. And I think so. Pick and Mix is like I guess it's the project from myself and my friend Will, who I kind of went uni with, and we got introduced into kind of electronic music together, and we've been on this journey for the last 10 years, really. Like I guess trying to find ourselves, and it's the progressive scene where we ended up, and we obviously kind of spend time on social media, places like Instagram, and we both were, I guess, a little fed up of always seeing the same kind of accounts posting the same generic content from the same DJs with the same record, and they weren't. Felt like we felt like there were so many amazing artists out there, especially within the scene that we love, who weren't getting the look in or the exposure that we felt they deserved, even if they weren't a big artist. So we actually started the page to try and, I guess, educate people or try and provide the exposure to artists and labels and clubs which they're so instrumental to the scene now or have been in the scene in the past, and use Pick and Mix as a platform to kind of share that knowledge which we've spent years and years building from kind of watching YouTube or kind of speaking to people who were there back in the day or reading books or yeah. So that's why we started the platform, and it's kind of progressed a lot. We started off kind of just as an Instagram page where we would kind of do posts and we would do like share biographies about artists, and then I think last summer it was, maybe beginning of July, we threw our first event in London, which was a boat party. And we kind of wanted to use those events to, I guess, share the music we love, and it's kind of kept progressing. We've done events in London and Manchester now, and we got another one coming up on the 5th of May. So yeah, it's been quite some journey.
No, it's awesome, and let's just chat a little bit about the music because this is all we do when we're together anyway, so it feels
Yeah,
pretty natural. But so I've listened to your tracks, bro, and the thing that I think I don't necessarily associate progressive with specifically, but that I just personally like is melody, bro. And I
yeah,
feel like your tracks are so have such nice like such a nice melodic tone, but I'll be honest, I've just been like I don't get like the or it doesn't do it for me, like not like pinning down labels to one specific sound, but like you get the LED screen behind you, the afterlife shit, whatever label it is, and it's a big build up, and then it's just a one note drop. No, and
yeah.
I'm like, bro, what is this doing? What is this doing for anyone? I literally don't get it. I'm like,
Kick
and
drum and
I'm
a
not even
clap.
trying to be a snob, but I feel like your tracks kind of just for my personal taste, like touch on just the right point. So
I really appreciate that, and I think for me, I really wanted to build, I guess, make music that was like emotive, and that if you heard it in a club, you'd feel emotion attached to it. And I think that's what these like progressive DJs and producers do so well. Like some of the records you listen to from like back in the day, I think for me, like I'm Alive, which is like the Sasha remix of Seal's I'm Alive, which for me, like those records, you listen to them and they just the hair stand up on the back of your neck. So for me, that's kind of what I wanted to do. And don't get me wrong, I can see why people like all this other genre of electronic music, and it's all awesome. But for me, it's all about trying to build music which is emotive and hopefully it's gonna, yeah, take people on a journey in itself.
no, totally. I feel like we're totally aligned there. But yeah, bro, as we kind of wrap this up, I got a few questions for you. You're a producer, you got music coming out. Do you ever it's kind of like a fun question, but do you ever have like a DJ in mind playing the track out? Like do you ever like try and picture a specific DJ trying to like play out your track in a club, or is that something you're not really concerned about?
No, definitely, definitely. And a lot of the time I try and picture what it would be like me trying to DJ it, because
Yeah.
there's no point making a record you can't mix in or mix out. And trust me, I've done it. I've made it, and I've tested it out on my decks in my bedroom, and yeah, it didn't work. So yeah, for sure, they like there's definitely certain DJs I picture playing my music, and so, like you think, oh, imagine what it'd be like to be in a rave watching your favorite DJ, and all of a sudden your own record comes on. I think for me, that might even be better than me playing it myself, is how hearing my favorite DJ playing one of my own records. So at the end of the day, we're ravers and music lovers first, and then a producer second. So
That's so awesome, bro. Yeah. No, totally. So my last question is kind of you may have like a good idea about this, but there's what five, not to bum anyone out, but there's like 5,000 tracks released a week or something.
Yeah.
How, like, as release day comes up, what are some like things you're trying to do to, I don't know, I feel like it kind of falls on the artist sometimes to just try and cut through the noise, like how you trying to make these releases matter when it should only just be the music, but there's so much more stuff to go that goes into it to cut through everything.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think especially where I am at the point in my career is that trying to break through, there's you're not just making music, you're trying to do social media, you're trying to promote your music, there's so much more to it than just making the music. But yeah, I think what I've tried to do really is I guess rely on my network. I built up a really good network of people with pick and mix, and we've got an awesome community of every event we have, we see the same faces, which is awesome. So definitely kind of relying on them and reaching out to them and making them aware. Also, just playing my music in my DJ sets when I play out, which is always a great thing to do. And I know that when someone comes up to you at the end of the night and asks for you the name of this song from your set and it's yours, it's had a good reaction, which is always a nice feeling. But yeah, I think it's just about kind of trying to push your music out yourself and use your social media platforms. I think that's kind of the key way, and yeah, kind of use your network, leverage your network, really.
Awesome, bro. And yeah, I just think like for this interview I was so stoked about because it brings a whole new I don't know, it brings a whole new listener to the table, which is the freaking aspiring producer, the kid out there, everyone's trying to like figure out like, oh my God, I love this music so much. I want to make a contribution. I want to make freaking music, where to start.
Yeah.
So this is going to be really, really helpful for them, I hope. And if you want to leave us off with, I think it would be nice to leave listeners off with maybe um, a tool or software or something that was just like super helpful for you beyond the obvious choice. And you can take it any direction you want. But I feel like everyone's always looking for, the right tip. The right tip can save you so much time. So I'm
And
sure
yeah,
uh I'm sure you have something nice to impart on our listeners before we head out.
yeah, definitely. Let me have a think. So before I get into it, I think it'd be good just to give maybe just a few kind of bits of advice from what I've had. Obviously, I've only been doing this kind of 10 months and I feel like I've definitely learned so much in the 10 months I've been doing it. But I think I probably sent my records out to maybe 30 to 30 odd different labels before I even got my first one signed. So don't be disheartened when you don't get that first record signed by that big label which you've always looked up to, because in reality, it's not always just about the music. When you're an aspiring artist, think about these labels, they're as much businesses as they are labels, and they need to kind of make sure they're going to get a return on investing in you as an artist. So don't be disheartened and kind of stay disciplined, stay motivated, and kind of use it as motivation to keep pushing yourself forward to learn more. And also another, I guess my biggest bit of advice, maybe not to do like the software, but I'll give you one of those after, is this industry is very much not about what you know, it's who you know. And I've really, really noticed that since kind of getting embedded into it as a artist this last 10 months. So whilst it's awesome to spend a lot of time making the music and kind of perfecting your craft, make sure you spend the time to actually get to network and know people, because I wouldn't be in the position I am 10 months down the line without having some awesome people who I've met really going out their way to help me and introduce me to people and the labels which have signed my music. So um yeah, focus on the music, but also don't not focus on kind of meeting people in your social media and kind of building out your platform.
Well, awesome, bro. It's like I still have my own goals of making music, like however small. So I'm like over here, like with my little notepad taking notes. I'm like, okay, this is all. So I find it personally very enlightening. So, bro, I'm
Yeah.
really happy you're able to join us today. I'm really stoked for your you know, upcoming releases. Can you let us know where and how we can support?
Yeah, no, definitely. So I've got obviously my two-track EP, which are two of my original records, so Dream Machine and Chiaroscuro, coming out on Capital Heaven. So they'll be available on Beatport for download and also on streaming services this Friday, so the 28th of April. And also I have a remix coming out of a record called Sally's Dream from a guy called Strange Malcolm, who's an awesome producer. He's just had a few records, his first signings to the Soundgarden, which is obviously Nick Warren's label, which is amazing, and that's coming out on Prognosis, and that'll also be available for download on Friday, and then I think it will be available for streaming a few weeks later. So yeah, exciting times ahead. Can't wait.
Yeah, good luck, bro. And also, bro, let's what day is the pick and mix event? The next one.
It is Friday, the 5th of May, and it's in London. So, yeah, if you're based in London and you want to come along for a night of progressive melodic music with good people and a good vibe, then yeah, come along. Tickets are available on Resident Advisor. So, yeah, it'd be awesome to see
I
new faces there.
I couldn't recommend it. I couldn't recommend it enough because like this is just where it's happening at the freaking boots on the ground level. Just people who love the music. No bullshit, just like coming together, pure passion. It's freaking epic, bro. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. And this definitely won't be the first time that we chat together, bro. So I really look forward to it.
Cheers for having me, Will.
Yeah, yeah. I'll see you.